with a little chat you for you. So we've been cutting up in here already, right?
Already.
So tonight we have Dr. Cliff on. We're going to talk about the mind. Mm-hmm. All right. So, let's just jump into it. So I'm going to do my disclaimer. Remember that all the ideas and opinions and thoughts that you hear on this show of myself and my guests are that of myself and my guests. We are not trying to persuade anyone to think or feel how we think and feel. You are entitled to think and feel how you want to think and feel, and that is okay. You hear me? Okay. So I'm not going to do I was telling Cliff, I'm not going to do like the what's going on now, what's happening, what's in the news. I'm going to talk about something that happened to me at work. Okay, Cliff, that's, I'm going to get a little serious here for a minute.
A little serious?
Just a little bit.
All right.
So, I had these little fellas at work that didn't particularly care for me. Had no reason why they didn't care for me. I actually did not do anything, if you can believe that. So, but I knew it was one or two things. It was race, or I know they had found out how much money I made. So I knew that, yeah. So I didn't really focus on the race thing for whatever reason. I just didn't. And I was like, how can you be mad at you found out how much money I made because you're not as qualified as I am. You don't have the credentials. You can't compare, compare me and you is like apples and oranges. You know what I'm saying? I have a whole master's degree. All right. You barely got a bachelor's. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I kind of took it from that angle or whatever, and which was cool. You know me, I'm going to speak my mind because at the end of the day, I work because I want to work. Right.
Right.
And so, but this is what I found out. That it was about race. They are, and they have voice publicly that they don't like brown people.
Okay.
Particularly me by name. And this is what troubles me. Not that it happened, because I know racism exists. Right. This is what troubles me, is that they felt so comfortable
just announcing it,
just talking about it. Out in the open, right? In it, like where they was talking about it, don't have no walls. So anybody walking past could have heard, like anybody could have heard it. Like, and you just felt so comfortable saying that how you feel about brown people, like now I can honestly say, now when I tell people this, they're usually surprised. When I was in the military, I served 25 years in the military, right?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Now, when I was enlisted, I did 15 years enlisted. Never once felt sexism or racism, believe it or not. Never once.
I believe it.
Never once felt sexism or racism, right? Never once. But when I became an officer, woo! In your face, like I had someone call me the N-word to my face.
Someone same rank or
someone the same rank as me. I was in command. It was a fellow commander, and he did it in the battalion, and we were like kind of sort of in front of the XO's office, but the XO heard it. So I didn't respond because I already knew that the odds was against me, because one, I'm in a battalion. I'm the minority. First, I'm the minority female. I was the only female commander. I was the only minority commander. And so I'm like, okay, how do I, it kind of caught me off guard, obviously.
Right.
And it's like, okay, what do you really say? What do you really do? But my XO heard it, and he immediately
checked it.
You know what I'm saying? And but he immediately went in. So, they was at the end, it was like, do you want to, file a complaint, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I just felt like with him, it was just pure ignorance. Not that none of the rest of it is ignorance. Mm-hmm. I think his ability to say the word was like, oh, we cool. So I'm going to just be like, what? And then she not going to say nothing.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
felt like he brought it with an A instead of an ER?
Right. Because that's why I say I think it was his ignorance to his environment.
Mhm.
I don't think that he's a racist. He could be, but at the moment, I didn't think that. But what's happening now, then the environment. And the thing is that you're around other. This is what my boss said to me. And he said, Kecia, he said, I hear what you're saying. He said, but let's think about it. Do you not think that 95% of the time these are the same conversations these people are having behind closed doors every day? And that it like brought the reality. I think sometimes I just get wrapped up into, being ignorant, being mean spirited. That's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. So I think I get wrapped up into people are good first.
Right.
People are good first. And I think that if it's in you, somewhere down in there is in you. You know what I mean? So do it really surprise me? No. Does it surprise me that they're so open and blatant with it? Yes. So I just had to, wheel myself in like, okay, girl, bring it in. This is a real thing. You're not exempt. There are plenty of people who are out here and don't like brown. And then make it so bad. One of the young men that's a part of the little group, he is a brown person. He's not African American, but he is a brown person.
Right.
He's a minority still. But I think with him is more or less the difference between me and a lot of people that I work with is that one, I've already retired. I've already climbed the ladder. I've already achieved that. They're still trying to, schmooze and brown nose and whatever you want to call it.
Right. You're trying
to move up the ladder.
Right. You're trying to make your moves.
Right. So, but I still don't think that I would schmooze with racists. No, I don't think that I would schmooze with racists. I don't think that I've ever done that. I don't think that I've ever done anything contrary to my core values just to get ahead or just to get something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, cheating on a PT test. We've all done that. You know what I'm saying? You need a few little extra points. If y'all, it was the norm back in the 90s. But like something like that. Nah, I don't think that I've ever and I knew that they had filed a erroneous complaint and they said that, listen to this clip. Now I work with all white people. I'm the only African American, right? Well, not now. We got a government guy. He's black. Okay. So, but before Q came over there, I was the only African American in there, right? So they filed an anonymous complaint. So when it's anonymous, they don't ask no questions. They just take what the person said
right. and they try to address it.
Yeah, right. So they said that I walked in the office and I said, I hate all white people. I'm going to kill all the white people. Now, I feel like me as a brown person, if I walked in a room full of, and I said that, somebody would be like, what the hell is wrong with Kecia? Is she drunk? Right. Somebody besides people that wasn't even in there would be, you know what I'm saying? So I should have known then that it was about race and not really about money, but I didn't put the two together. And so it really bothered me. Right. I had a moment yesterday. I had a moment of reflection that there are just shitty people in the world. Right. Really shitty people.
So, my question as a mental health clinician is, how do you maintain your mental and emotional health in those type of environments?
I cuss them out when I see them.
Okay.
I treat them like shit. I do. Because my mentality is different. I am a retiree. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I skate the line so I don't get fired. I skate the line so I don't get fired, So also nobody will file a charge on me.
Right.
You know, but I'm going to make your life very, very difficult to deal with.
Okay.
You know, and I'm not going to make no secret about it. I'm going to tell you you're a shitty person. Because most likely, I know the last time it happened, the fella asked me, why you treat me like this? And I told him, because you're a bitch. Because at the time, that's what I felt. So, yes, I will. It's like passive aggressiveness. That's what
It doesn't sound passive.
Yeah, well.
Sounds straight aggressive. You know, passive aggressive would be like,
I know, and
I know you.
They'll be like, Kecia's so mean. I'll be in my mind like, no, I'm just mean to certain people. Because I am. Because I feel like I'm at a position where I can fight those battles. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Somebody who needs their job, have little children, you know, they don't have nothing to fall back on. They can't say anything. So they have to endure, and their mental health is really at stake.
Right. This is what I interject, though. For you, even though you don't have those concerns, you still have your mental and emotional self bringing yourself into that environment. You know what I mean? And financial situations can't buffer you from that. So I was wondering.
It helps.
It definitely does help.
It helps.
It definitely does help. But when you approach them that way, does that allow you to unpack what you feel in that space?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. And I'm being completely 100. Knowing that if they fire me, I'm going to get unemployment. So I know they ain't going to fire me. Because one, I make too much money. Okay? Two, make sure I don't cross the line to where I can get some charges put on me.
Right.
Okay? And three, just get it off your chest. Because there are some times when I can't get it off my chest right away, and I leave and I'm frustrated. And then when I come back, I'm like, my anxiety is on like a bazillion.
Right. Because you didn't get a chance.
Because I didn't get a chance.
You didn't get a chance to unpack that.
Right. I didn't get a chance to get it off my chest. So once I finally do get it off my chest, then I could go on. And I'm jolly. And everybody's like, oh, she's just the sweetest. We just love her. And other people are like, she's such a bitch. So it's like, I tell people, it depends on you, the Kecia that you get.
Right.
It depends on you. Like, you know, because being a shitty person is a learned behavior. You cannot think, and that's what really, this is really not what we're supposed to be talking about, but we're going to get there. You know what really gets me is that they feel so comfortable doing it and expect you not to have an opinion.
Well,
and expect you to just be like, I can't believe Johnny said that. Not, fuck you, Johnny, you know? Like,
well, I think in today's environment, the way our world is,
it's hard.
The way our country is, I think people feel that they have the space to be open like that because everything is so divided.
Yep.
And people feel like,
but if you have shitty people like that, it's going to always be divided. So, you know, I think about it like this. I'm thankful that I'm in a position to where I can get it, unpack it, as you say.
Right.
I'm thankful because I can remember, you know, I wasn't back in slave days or anything, you know, those Jim Crow times, but we couldn't. Nobody, whether you was wealthy or not, you couldn't have a say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now, yes, I get aggressive. And like I said, for some people, they'll be like, oh, she's such a bitch. She's so mean. No, I'm really not. If you take the time to understand why I acted that way towards that person, and I'm not the person that's going to be like, oh, well, did you know that so-and-so said blah, blah. Like, I'm not going to, because they might not know you like that. So I'm not going to taint your name.
Right.
Regardless of what you say about it, I'm not going to taint your name. I'm just not. It don't make no sense for me to be a shitty person because you're being a shitty
So
person.
you allow people to form, you get to form your own view on who that person is. I'm not going to taint the water.
Nope. It's not, even if you did it to me. Oh, well, you smell. I don't know what to tell you. It's unfortunate for you that you don't get to experience all the joy that I elude from all my pores. But you see what I'm saying? I don't do that to other people because I'm not a shitty person. One thing that I can say since COVID, I used to think that I could forgive people, but where I am now, I really can't forgive people. Like, you could like hurt me bad. I could be crying, sad, angry. But I think I have learned to forgive so easily is because I have forgiven myself for the bad decisions that I have made. And so it makes it easier because then I don't carry the whys anymore.
Right.
Why did this person do this? Why did this person do that? Now, it took a significant emotional event in my life for it to happen, but nonetheless, it did happen. And I would encourage anybody who thinks that, because I used to feel like that. I used to feel like, I'm still working on forgiving them. But that was because I hadn't completely forgiven myself. So I was still angry at the situation, at the person, whatever. But nonetheless, it had to do with me. It had nothing to do with that person. So now that I have worked on diligently, intentionally forgiving myself, I find it easier to forgive other people.
Right.
And I find it like, it's so funny because AJ had did a TikTok and he came across my TikTok yesterday, right? AJ, you got to see AJ's TikTok. Okay. You have to. Cliff, he's like a doctor. Like a Dr. AJ.
Is he?
Yes.
See, because I don't get on that.
No, you gotta see.
I don't get on that platform.
Listen, you have to see.
I don't have TikTok downloaded.
Listen, you have to see AJ's TikTok. AJ is talking to the people, right? So, so I'm flipping. AJ comes up and he says, "Hey, don't send that text." Like he's talking to you, right? He's like looking right in
connecting right with you.
I'm looking at him like, how'd you know? He's like, don't send that text. If they wanted to talk to you, they would. You don't want to go backwards, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but you know what? I think about that in this space that I'm in. You can't do something like that if you're not completely healed.
Well, is there such a thing? When I work with people, because people, for instance, take like relationships, right? People, we should. People will be like, you can't love anybody till you love yourself. And make sure you fully heal before you get into a relationship.
That's not true.
Well, the question is, what's fully healed look like?
Yeah.
A buddy of mine always says healing is a journey, and wholeness and wellness is the destination.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I guess I'll play his name. His name's Jay Barnett. I gotta plug him.
Okay.
Now next time
What's up, Jay?
Next time I use it.
That's dope.
Yeah, next time I use it.
It's gonna
be Cliff.
Okay.
It's gonna be Cliff.
It's gonna be Dr. Cliff's.
And it's true, because how can you measure healing? For me might not look like healing for you.
Absolutely.
But also, there are people who love others in an attempt to validate themselves of being worthy of love. So
I used to do that. I used to do that, Cliff. That used to be me. Yeah. And I had to learn, regardless of them, I'm worthy of being loved. And I need to see that for myself.
Right.
And then I won't have all these other issues that I have.
Right.
So I won't say healed. I'd say forgiving. Right. Because it's a difference. Because like you said, healing is a journey. Yes.
Yep. It's that journey.
Yes.
So I'm in that process of healing. What forgiveness, every time I hear forgiveness, you know what I hear? Freedom. Yes. Forgiveness is freedom. So now I'm free of that bondage, because it takes so much energy. It takes so much of my capacity to not forgive.
But people, you don't think about that when it's happening.
No, you don't, because you're hurt.
Right.
I'm hurt. You hurt me.
Right.
And a lot of times the narrative is, if I forgive you, then I said what you did was okay. No, you're not saying it's okay.
No, I don't agree with
that. You're not saying it's okay. What you're saying is, I'm forgiving you, so I'm not in bondage.
Right, to the situation,
you know what I mean?
Or whatever, whatever.
Because ultimately, you did what you did because you decided
wanted to. Right, absolutely.
Not because of what I did.
Absolutely.
You did even something like, people say, well, if my significant other cheat on me, then everybody gonna get it. And it sounds like something in theory, but what you're really saying is, what if your standard is, I don't step out like that? What you're saying is, I'm going to give up my standard because of the pain you caused me. And then I'm going to become somebody I'm not. I'm going to self-betray.
Yes, no.
So what forgiveness does, forgiveness allows you to have that freedom and you don't enter into self-betrayal. Doesn't say it don't hurt.
Right.
Doesn't say it's not hard.
Right.
But what it does is it keeps you in that free zone.
Right.
It keeps you in that free zone.
Now, so as we glide into the topic, so, and this is a good start. So I did some research, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a 2020 study. Granted, it was a 2020 study. And it was saying that men with lower education, lower intellect, mm-hmm. are prone more to cheat. Mm. Yes. Okay, hold on. And it said that women that are higher in education are prone to cheat over women that have higher intellect, because it's two different things.
Right.
Right. So men are the opposite. If they have low intellect and low education, they are prone to cheat. Women, if they're higher in education, they're prone to be more faithful if they're higher in education, and they're prone to cheat if they are higher in intellect. Yes. So what I want to talk about is this, Cliff. You remember we was having a conversation about Jeffrey Dahmer, and I told you that Jeffrey Dahmer was now my spirit angel. Because he is. Because it goes back to forgiveness, mm-hmm. and making yourself whole. And forgiving yourself is not healing you from whatever it is was done to you or what you did. But forgiving yourself is a start, like a fresh start. I got mm-hmm. this. I did something wrong, or someone did something wrong to me. Right. So I did some research again, right? Mm-hmm. So do you know that most serial killers are intellectually above average? Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Dahmer's IQ was 144. Mm-hmm.
Ted Bundy, high IQ.
136. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was John Wayne Gacy's?
He wasn't that smart.
He wasn't that smart.
He wasn't. He was also, she talking about Jeffrey is. Jeffrey is an angel. He was delivered, okay? And so it goes back to the other statistics I looked at that mm-hmm. said, men that are lower in intellect, they're prone. So it just looks like the pendulum just, when it comes to men and intellect and education, it just shifts. Now, also, mm-hmm. I read an article that said that the IQ test is biased because the IQ tests are developed based off of environment, cultural statuses.
Right.
So if you're a European and you live in the suburbs, your IQ test is going to be different than if you're a Hispanic living in Little Italy.
They're saying that on average.
Yes.
Okay. Because there are always outliers.
Well, yeah, obviously, but mm-hmm. for the most part, it's set up to where based off of cultural differences. And so obviously, lower income statuses people, their IQ probably would be lower. And that's probably the truth, because when I was looking at the top 30 serial killers with the highest IQs, right? It was I mean, I don't know that there is any Black person that's, or Hispanic person, or Chinese or Asian or whatever that.
You saw a lot of Black serial killers over there?
No, I didn't. I didn't see any. All I saw was Caucasian.
The DC sniper.
He wasn't
messed everybody up because
he was Black. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, what?
Nobody cares about when you leave the club after drinking. What are you talking about? You still on cheaters? We're past cheaters. We're talking about how the brain works. So I say all this to say that I think, this is just my theory, that everybody is born, their brain works. Somewhere or something happens that makes juices flow differently, that creates murderers, molesters, lesbians, homosexuals. It's something that happens to us.
Well, because I do trauma-informed work, I'm always talking about what happened to you and not specifically what you're doing.
Okay.
Because it's what happened to you that creates that space you're in. So for instance, we know there are people who struggle with loving themselves.
Okay.
Who struggle with self-worth. Their self-esteem is low. They have low self-confidence. They don't think highly of themselves. Right. They isolate themselves. Right. They people please because they believe that's going to get people to stay connected to them, right? And to get the love that they desire. Yeah. So what happens is nobody comes out the womb like that. You don't come out the womb hating yourself.
I agree. Nobody is born like that. Nobody is born like to say, I'm going to be a murderer. Like nobody is born to.
Right.
Yeah.
Now what happens is, for instance, like
not a thing.
Like depression, there's no one clear-cut thing that creates depressive symptoms in a person.
Okay.
But there could be biological factors. There could be environmental factors.
Right. Okay.
There could be medical health issues.
I agree.
There could be trauma that's happened.
Absolutely.
There can be one of the phenomenons I love talking about when depression shows up in people. It's often because the bubble bursts.
What the hell is
what
that?
I mean by that is you have these expectations of what you think your life will be or how things will go. When it doesn't work out that way, it affects your mood because you had this picture. Like you said, sometimes I don't feel like there is such a thing as crappy people, but now I see there are
shitty people.
Because what happens is we often deal with people based on who we wish they were.
That's good.
Yeah, instead of what they're presenting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I stayed in a lot of relationships because of that.
Yeah, because of the picture.
Yeah,
you had the picture, and you may have thought, given enough time,
this person is going to be.
They will get it together. They will know what I need. They will shift. They will one day have an epiphany and see that, oh man, I am not loving her the way I should be loving her.
I told somebody that today. I was talking to someone and they were like, I shouldn't have to tell them. No, you may feel that way, but you may really have to tell this person because they don't see it how you see it.
I think you should tell every person how you want to be loved. This is why. Whether you are the first person I've entered a romantic relationship with or you're the 100th.
You're different.
Yeah. How I love you might be different than how I love the last 99.
Exactly.
What you need could be totally different. That's why boundaries are so vital. Boundaries are not about controlling people.
No.
Boundaries are about teaching people how to love you, loving yourself, and being clear about your standards. The reason they're hard is we often consider what's going to happen when they don't like my boundaries. Because the truth of the matter is
they don't keep within the boundaries.
Right. Because the bottom line is most of the time when we set boundaries, nobody asks for those boundaries to be set. For instance, I tell people this all the time. It makes them laugh. My father and I had a situation because I told him, I said, Dad, don't call me on Sundays anymore. I'm not answering my phone on Sundays. I'm strictly making that day for my family. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not doing anything for anyone. My dad said, "Are you crazy? You gonna tell me I can't call you on a certain day? Are you nuts? What if I call you with an emergency?" I said, "I'm gonna pray you get through to Monday. That's what I'm gonna do." Because I won't know it's an emergency if I don't answer the phone.
You're right.
And I said, I'm gonna do that to set that boundary for myself.
Right.
And he heard, "You're not even considering me."
Because it's not about you.
Yeah. It wasn't that I'm not considering you. I'm considering what I need so I don't get overwhelmed.
Right.
You know, and trust me, it was hard saying it.
No, bro.
Because look,
I get it.
Look, I'm a reformed people pleaser. And look, I always wanted people happy.
Yeah.
I wanted people good. Matter of fact, if you were good, I was happy. That was the only prerequisite.
I got
you happy? Oh, I'm good.
And you're right. Boundaries, a friend of mine's, I love him to death. Travis Hunter, he's an author. I love him to death. But Travis, one thing that gets under his skin is people who try to take, especially family members who try to take advantage of you, and you have to set boundaries. And so he told a story this week on Facebook about how his cousin called and was like, "Hey, I need some place to stay." And he like, "Well, hell, you 50 years old. What you need some place to stay for? No, right. You can't come up in here. You too grown." You know what I'm saying? Like, because he set that boundary, because they'll take advantage of you. You know, family will take advantage of you. And so, like your father, I had to set a boundary with my daughter because I wanted my daughter to be happy at all costs. I didn't want nobody to hurt her. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to protect her from the world. And so I did allow things that I shouldn't allow. So now her cheese has slid off her cracker because she just thinks she can say and do whatever the hell she wants to. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm going to strangle her. So I had to create a healthy boundary. And unfortunately, that healthy boundary has separated the two of us. And she still doesn't get it. But nonetheless, and it's hard for me because I'm like, she was born like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then I had to also sit back and say, what did I contribute to this to make her think that this behavior was all right? So I had to take accountability for my own self. But at the same time, I still have to maintain those boundaries because if I don't, it won't get any better. And that's not going to be good for me or for her. So I'd rather her be mad and angry at me now, and then we could hopefully work through it, or be mad and angry at me now and never speak to me, but be healthy when it comes to how to treat people. You know what I'm saying? And what your expectations is of people, because my daughter does feel like, if she wants it, she needs to have it right now. Like, and she don't care how she get it. You know what I mean? Like, so I get it. I had to set that boundary, and, I haven't talked to her in almost a month. And me and my daughter used to talk like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, but I mean, it's just that it's a bump in the road of life, part of the healing journey, because you want it to be better. So, and then that all goes back to nobody's born like the way that they are in their lives now. Like I was watching I'm coming back to Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay.
So you've been watching that Netflix.
I have.
Everybody in America watching that Netflix.
I have been really inspired by, because they wanted to study his brain, and his dad was like, no.
So you messing it up for me because I'm on episode 4.
Sorry.
But go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. I'll be all right.
So yeah, his mother, who was also cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, she wanted to give his brain to science. And the dad was like, no, he was already messed up enough. I'm not finna let y'all chop up his brain. Like before he was cuckoo, he was regular. It was like the dad was focused on my regular son. Like he knew that his son was a killer. He knew, and he said, maybe I shouldn't have, our trips together
taught him how to dissect dead animals.
Yeah, so I think that he wanted to remember his son as his normal son, not the flesh-eating son that he turned out to be, and then that's okay, but again, people do not start out this way. Like, I don't understand, like the death penalty. I can't really say that I'm for the death penalty or against the death penalty, because I believe that anybody that does anything sadistic, i.e. kill, rape, murder, whatever, like, they weren't born that way. Yes, I believe that they need to be punished, but I don't know if I believe an eye for an eye. I don't know if I believe that, right? But I do believe that they need to be punished, because at the end of the day, whoever they turned out to be is the choice that they made to turn out to be that person. And they have to live in it.
Well, for the most part, I think about things like traumatic brain injuries, right?
Okay, good point. Very good point.
That may not be your choosing. That may mean you have significant neurological impairment. You probably need substantial help to protect yourself from being able to
hurt someone else.
Yeah, because you may have some impaired function.
Right.
So in some cases, it is not always choice driven.
Okay. You made a very valid
And even
point.
when I was watching the 4 episodes of Dahmer I watched how he was rejected in school.
Yes.
Not excusing any behavior.
No.
I watched how he was rejected at school. I watched the trauma he had to deal with.
Because
anytime you watch two parents verbally assassinate each other like that,
that does something to you.
That is traumatic for a child.
Yes.
So he had a high trauma history.
Yes, he did.
Here's the thing, though. For his dad, that's his son. You know what I mean? In spite of the heinous crimes he did.
Right.
Like you said, dad saw him, brought him home from the hospital.
Yeah.
I watched him grow.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure when dad was showing him how to dissect these animals, he thought it was a moment we connected on.
Yes.
And not down the line, my son is going to use these skills
to
do these heinous, horrific crimes.
Right.
So it is. The thing about humanity is human beings have the ability to do some of the greatest things imaginable.
Absolutely.
But also some of the most heinous vile, despicable.
Like how somebody can have sex with a dead person. Yeah. I don't understand that to save my life.
Right.
Or somebody that can have sex, give somebody a date rape drug or incapacitate them and rape them. Yeah. Right. Like what the hell?
But for that person, somewhere in the way they function in their brain and in their mind,
it works. It works for them. It works. It's like, okay, I am getting that feeling that I am looking for, and so I'm gonna go do it again.
Yeah. So that pathology,
right?
There is. If you're not in that space, you're not going. You won't even get it.
Right.
You're like, what is this?
Right. Absolutely. If you're not a shitty person or cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, it's not going to make sense.
Or damaged. You know what I mean?
I think some of us are all damaged in one way or the other.
Right.
But not to the point where we want to have sex with dead people.
Right. But
there are people that
do that. Yeah. So the question is, and we know so little. As much as we come on and talk about we're mental health experts and we're psychologists and psychiatrists and we're licensed clinical professional counselors and social workers and all these other things and researchers, we still know so little about the human brain.
Because it's so different.
We know so little, and we can't always pinpoint what created this in you.
That's like when you told me about what it was called, intrusive thoughts. Those things.
Yeah.
First of all, I had never heard of that. Mm-hmm. All right. And I can't say that I've ever had a thought like that. I can say that somebody has made me so mad that I felt like if I saw them, I would run them over in my car.
Let me ask you this.
Is that intrusive?
That might be vengeful. Intrusive could be something as simple as.
That's more like homicide.
Yeah. Ideation. Let's say you're in the house cutting up a cucumber, right?
Right.
And the thought pops in your head. I wonder what would happen if I chop my thumb off. That's an intrusive thought.
Okay.
You're driving down the road. Man, I should just cut. I should cut off it. I should just cut across the traffic.
I have never had a thought like that. Like, what if I just run off the side of this bridge? I have never thought like that.
Or you've never had a thought that made you think something was wrong with you, and it forced its way in? Because that's what an intrusive thought is. And it's
mean like, okay, say like I see somebody and I could have sex with them. Is that intrusive?
That might just be strong sexual attraction.
Okay, all right.
That might just be.
I'm trying.
That might be normal human sexual attraction.
So, is an intrusive thought is always leading to something?
They seem off the wall.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, for instance, holding your baby and saying, "I should just drop him."
Throw him on the floor.
Yeah.
I've never thought no shit like that ever.
Right. That's good. But here's the thing: when people have those thoughts, they question their sanity.
Dr. Venable said you need to question your sanity because you tried to run her over in the parking lot. I'm just telling you what the doctor said. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But Dr. Venable said that you was having some homicidal thoughts while you was homicidal ideation.
Look, nobody saw that. Well, there was a witness.
Okay, but, so how about this? Mm-hmm. So, do you think that intrusive thoughts could lead to someone becoming like that? Like,
I would say more than likely not.
Really?
I've had intrusive thoughts.
You don't think Jeffrey Dahmer had intrusive thoughts before he actually chopped up a person?
He may have, but we can't pinpoint all the thoughts he was having and what was going on in his head.
Yeah. No,
time there.
There's another episode, right? Mm-hmm. And they're playing his tapes. They still have his tapes, and you hear him talking about what he was thinking, why he did it, and it's really, he wanted to connect to people. But I still think he might have had a couple of, intrusive thoughts.
Well, like I said, most people, I know you said you've never had any intrusive thoughts.
I cannot say, and I've had some other thoughts to hurt people.
Right. But most people
just go over there and whack him upside his head or whack her upside her head with this cast iron skillet.
Is it somebody that did something to you? Somebody that had,
or they just done got offended on my nerves you? Okay. Or something like that.
How about somebody just random?
No, I've never wanted to just hurt somebody.
All right.
That's crazy.
Well, how about doing something that was risky for yourself?
Like what? Unprotected sex?
Well, that is risky, but but it's this thought that intrudes, and typically they are
harmful.
Yeah, they're harmful, or they are just, you're like, this is bananas.
Yes,
this is not a normal
thought
that a human being shouldn't be having thoughts like this.
That's crazy.
Those are intrusive thoughts, but what? It's normal because human beings have them.
You know what? So, apparently, because I was talking to a girl at work, Anna Banana, and Anna Banana was like, "Yeah, you've never had those kids." I'm like, "Hell no, I've never." To my knowledge, I cannot recall a time that I felt when I was chopping a cucumber that I wanted to chop my damn fingers off.
Right.
Never.
Or what would happen if?
No, I never thought that. Like, I'm in the house by myself. If I chop my fingers off, I'm gonna die.
Right.
Because nobody's gonna find me. Like, I've never thought like that now.
Right.
Now, I have thought, but that's not an intrusive thought because I had already did it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I die in here? But I was under the influence. So that don't really count.
You chop some of your fingers off?
No, I didn't. I had ingested some items.
Okay.
And my mind had me thinking that my esophagus was broken. And so
yeah, that's not intrusive. That was an item influenced. That was an item influenced train of thought.
So my mind had me thinking my esophagus was broken. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die here because I can't burp. Because I was trying to burp.
Right.
For whatever reason. I was trying to burp. And so I was saying, oh, I'm going to die. And nobody's going to find me in here until 7 or 8 days. And then my corpse is going to be black. And, I had all these crazy thoughts.
Right.
Is that an intrusive thought?
Could be, but they were also thoughts that were influenced by the items.
The substance.
Yeah, the items that you
All
had
right.
ingested.
The substance.
Yeah. So it could be a combination of both.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
These are the type of conversations we need to have in our community because
Yes.
our community is scared of mental health.
Oh my gosh. And we're the craziest fuckers out there. No, I think there's different levels of crazy. I think that Europeans, they're more sadistic than I think I don't know how to say it. Like, I think that Europeans, they're more like, ooh, like what you said, intrusive thoughts. What if I stab this person and cut their heart out and eat it? Would it taste like chicken? You know what I'm saying? I don't think some of us brown people would be like, let me cut this heart out and eat it. I think we'll be like, ooh, it's some guns back there. Let's go to the rooftop and see how many people that we can hit. You know, like a game. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you kind of see those differences. Yeah. That doesn't happen too much.
Yes, no, it doesn't.
Most
like
of
school shooters and stuff like that. Like, I mean, stereotypically, it's Europeans that do that.
Well, that's what the numbers show.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't know any. Maybe because we don't lean more towards that hobby. I don't know. I don't know if there's that's something I'm going to have to research because
I'm pretty sure somewhere Harvard or somebody is sitting down doing that research.
Yes, because I think it needs to be done, and maybe then, even like when you think about suicide, I don't know that our community, because
it's the number one cause of death for Black males.
I could see that.
The current numbers they've run. Yeah, I can see the current numbers they've run that it for male, I'm thinking Black males, what is it? 15 to 45.
I was getting ready to say 35.
It is. Yeah. It is the number one cause of death.
Yeah,
for Black males.
I can see that one
in the last recent study.
I could totally understand that.
I think we don't talk about it.
And I was getting ready to say that.
As much because
it's not a societal norm.
Well, it looks weak.
It's not a societal norm.
We have to display strength.
Yes.
If we don't display strength, we die. Yes. If we show weakness, we die. We're targets.
Yes.
So therefore, we have we either have outward rage
or inward
rage, which we turn in on ourselves and we beat ourselves up and harm ourselves with it.
Right.
But we are so traumatized.
I'm gonna look that up because I'm curious to see how the suicide is committed.
Well, males that die by suicide typically die by suicide. Yeah, they do ways that are a lot more violent. They'll swallow and ingest pills. They'll slice their wrists, or they'll shoot themselves, or they'll step out in front of vehicles. Die by suicide by cop. Things of that nature. Yeah, because they really want to. If they're in that space, they're like, I'm going to do this. But 99% of it is I cry because the pain won't stop.
Right. You don't know how to stop.
Yeah, the pain won't, and you don't believe it'll stop.
Right.
So the only way to escape this pain is for me to not be here.
Right.
And there are so many people that have that going on inside of themselves. Right. They just don't say it.
Right.
I've had my bouts.
Me too.
Where I've considered it.
Me too.
And I didn't tell anybody.
I know.
I had a friend, and there are some people that don't have Christian faith or other faiths.
Right.
I'm somebody that is of a Christian faith,
and that's what kept me alive.
Yeah, I was in New Orleans, and I had went to a conference that my pastor at the time went to, but I also went down there to see a young lady, and I thought it was something that it wasn't, and I'm sitting in the hotel room feeling rejected, and all that's running through my head is kill yourself. Kill yourself. Nobody ever wants you. Kill yourself. You're worthless.
Oh,
just go and end it. Yeah.
I love you, Dr. Cliff.
Oh, this was years ago. You think I didn't figure I've been married for 18 years. So this was years ago. Okay. And it had nothing to do with that young lady. It had everything to do with what was going on within myself.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, I should just end it because nobody's going to want me. Just came out of church conference. You know what I mean? My pastor was saying something about me in a service while I'm in New Orleans where my sisters were attending, talking about the great things God had in store for me. I'm sitting in a hotel room talking about I should kill myself and kept hearing the voice. A friend of mine called me on the phone. Don't ask me, and people can believe what they want to believe or not. Don't ask me how he got the hotel room number because I didn't give nobody a number. He called and he said, hey, Doc, don't kill yourself. God got great things for you. TV comes on, Charles Stanley says, you ever seen Charles Stanley?
No.
White preacher out of Atlanta, Georgia, speaks in a monotone voice. He not a preacher, he a teacher. Mm-hmm. Everything is just flat. Same thing. He says, there's somebody right now watching this. You're thinking about killing yourself. Don't kill yourself. God has great things in store for you. I sat there in that room and cried.
I bet you did.
Called my dad and said, Dad, I was supposed to fly out Tuesday. I said, Dad, I got to get out of here. My dad was like, man, call the airport and see if they'll get you a ticket to fly out tomorrow because it was Sunday. I flew out that day. You know what I mean? But it's just, here's the thing. Nobody is immune to suicidal ideation. I don't care if you're a pastor, teacher, multimillionaire, the president of the United States, foreign leader. You know, it does not matter. A person who has no place to stay. Right. It does not matter. None of us are immune to that.
And I just wish it was when it comes to our community and men, I wish it was a way that we could even like, because I know people who are in those spaces, have been in those spaces. And it's like, how do you, their expectation is, you know, like you said, you were thinking, oh, I don't need to be here. That becomes their normal way of thinking about themselves. So even if they're out of the suicide ideation thought, they still have those feelings. And how do we acknowledge it and support it?
Well, people like me model it. I'm a therapist that goes to therapy. Right. I don't look like what you expect when you think about a therapist. Right. I have the ability and the honor of working with some men that said, man, I'd have never came to therapy. But I looked at you and I said, oh, you man enough. I can sit with you. So we have to model it. They need to see more of us say, man, it's okay to not be okay. And then it'll give you the courage to come out and say, yeah, I need support too. And we got to kill this narrative that if we're not providing, if we're not producing, if we're not performing, that doesn't mean we're not men.
So how do you do that though? How do you, because if you're not doing those things for yourself, obviously you can't do it for anyone else. Right. So how do you, and you're not doing those things for yourself because of some type of trauma or, you know, something that's going on with you. Right. So how do you target that thing versus what they're not doing? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
You're saying how do you
pick help that person up, help them get themselves up?
You talk to them about they're valuable in spite of. You know what I mean? And then you can start addressing what barriers are keeping them from that. A lot of guys don't try because they never had anybody tell them they had more in them. Right. You know what I mean? Right. I spent years growing up in West Oak Lane in Philly. And I remember I moved there from Virginia because my father was in the Army and retired. So we moved to Philly and it was culture shock for me. I was in the classroom. They used to take me out of my classroom for English and math and science. And they would get books, and that was in 6th grade. They would get books from the high school and they worked with me out of those. Because what my classmates were working on, I was way past all of that. But I wasn't way past all of that because I was better than them. Right. You know, I was way past that because I had been given the building blocks from jump to be past that. Right. So, you know, we can't just act like people haven't systemically been put in certain situations. Right. Okay. But it has to be this thing where you say, yeah, this is the hand that you got dealt. Right. But are you willing to say, this is where I have to stay?
Right.
Right. And then they have to get exposed. Like, for instance, I do a men's group every other Wednesday here at Brass Mill. Group of men to get together. It's real intimate. Try to keep it to no more than 25. So you have men more willing to open up. Mm-hmm. And all the men have said, I've never had a space like this to be authentic.
And I believe that too. Lord knows I do. And I, especially with my past career, I've come in contact with so many men that deal, even men that I've dated that deal with those things. My ex-fiance, I love him to death. He's a great guy, but he holds on to a lot of trauma, and a lot of the decisions that he makes
bounce off of that.
Yeah, just like anybody else. And to say, hey, would you ever thought about going to counseling?
What are you going to tell me?
Yeah. My son even says that.
I'm a man just like him. What are you going to tell me? Matter of fact, I'm more a man than him. What are you going to tell me? Yeah. He going to run that mumbo jumbo. Yeah. What do he care anyway? Yeah. He's just trying to get a check.
Yeah. And then, or like, I wish that, like in larger families where, the men are that, the men are the providers, the men do this, the men do that, the men work hard, the men retire, the men blah, 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 blah. Even though the men may mess up along the way, but at the end of the day, they took care of their family, they, established themselves, yada, 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 yada. Right. But they have their own trauma that they're dealing with too, because just like you're the younger man coming, you're the next generation behind, they still have their own trauma. So how would you encourage somebody, even male or female, that it doesn't really matter, right? Male or female, how do you encourage like my generation, let's just say my generation, to someone that hasn't gone to counseling or something, and you want to encourage them to go, or to be the example, and you right. see them going down the wrong path or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just want to help people.
Right. You be authentic. You tell your story, like this podcast you're doing.
Yeah.
That you do every week. It allows people to see the authentic you. You don't come on here in front. You're like, I'm me. Take it or leave it.
Pretty much.
Look, nobody locked your finger on staying connected to this live. But somewhere somebody is getting affected because it allows them to see themselves.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to be willing to be vulnerable. And vulnerability does not sound like strength to most men.
Yeah.
To most men, it sounds like weakness. But I tell you what, you know who has helped, who has blessed me almost more than anybody else? Mike Tyson. Anything that's Mike Tyson related, except what Hulu's running now, because he didn't give them permission to do that.
Yeah, that's so.
I will watch. I won't watch that though, because Mike came and said, "Hey man, don't watch that." I didn't give my consent to that.
Yeah.
But ABC did a 2-part documentary on him called The Knockout. And in the second episode, towards the end, maybe about 8 or 10 minutes left, they were doing an interview with Mike, and Mike said, "I promise you, however much you were scared of me, I promise you I was double as scared of you. That's why I always attacked first. That's why I was so aggressive.
Yeah.
That's why I was so violent. Because he was always afraid that you were going to hurt him.
So I'm going to get you before you
I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me."
Yeah.
So
and that's,
in a sense,
people think like that still.
But it looks like strength. It looks like aggression. It looks like they'll wreck you. Yeah. But it really was fear-based.
Yeah.
So for him, the state he's in now, he displays way more strength now than he did back then. Because now he has a strength.
Yes.
Think about him with that guy on the airplane. Mike pulled his punches on that guy. You saw that?
No.
When the young guy was messing with Mike on the airplane flying to Miami, Mike told him, "Man, leave me alone, please." Guy kept messing with him. Mike put paws on him. But you could clearly tell Mike was pulling his punches.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson hit you. You're not going to have a face.
Yeah, you're right.
This guy just had a couple bruises on his face. Mike pulled his punches. Mike kept asking the young man, "Please leave me alone, man." He took pictures with him. He gave him an autograph. "Man, please, just come on, man, please." God kept pushing it. But now, because it takes a lot more strength for me to not lash out than to lash out. It takes a lot more strength to respond than to not react. Reaction is just you wilding out. Response is calculated. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I know how I'm answering this. You know, I'm not guessing. So it takes way more strength. But the narrative for a lot of us is that's not strength. Oh, you soft. You know what I mean? I feel for young people now because of these devices we got. Look, when we used to get into fights, it was way easier to walk away from a fight because let's say 10 people were there, right? The only people that saw you actually walk away was the 10 there. You walk away from a fight now, the world is going to because as soon as you're ready to get down, the cameras come on. So now you're not just worried about what I look like here. You're worried about what I look like the world over. So it's even more intense now.
My goodness.
But also, young men probably have more of a deficit of supports than they've ever had.
You think so?
I think so. Even though the fathers that are there and that are involved in a high level. Like a study came out, they said, you know, that it used to be the narrative that Black fathers weren't involved. Right. They did a study. Black fathers led all ethnic and racial groups as the most involved fathers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in the day-to-day, changing diapers, taking them to school, feeding their kids, you know, showing physical affection. But the narrative is Black fathers ain't there. You want to be honest? A lot of fathers aren't there for various reasons. And also, a father can be there. And if you don't emotionally connect with your kids, because if you talk to young people today, young people don't want to hear, I put food on the table, clothes on your back, roof over you. They don't want to hear that. That doesn't equate to love to them. And they will tell you, I don't mean you love me. That just means you have owned your responsibility. Like Denzel in Fences. I love Fences. And then who said I got to like you? You know what I mean? I have a responsibility to you. But that to his son, that didn't say love. Your words told me you don't love me. Your menacing approach to me said you didn't love me.
Oh my God.
So a lot.
I'm feeling some way.
So a lot of these mental health issues that we have as adults often stem from what we experienced growing up. And how many of us got told
Jeffrey Dahmer. Look at Jeffrey Dahmer.
That's your boy.
That is my spirit angel.
That is your boy.
That is my spirit angel. I believe that he is in heaven. He might not have no rewards because he did kill a lot of people. But he found God. Yes.
Oh, Jeffrey got saved?
The day before the fella killed him. He didn't even fight back. He didn't even fight back. And I believe that God forgave him because I know what the word said God will forgive if you come to him with a clean heart. He know your heart. Now that's where people be saying, oh, God know my heart. Yeah, he do.
You know the scripture where they say that? No, I ain't gonna preach. Because I work with everybody. I don't want people to think I just work with. Nobody off limits with me. You can bring it on. Because I just love people. And it's about supporting and helping people. But the scripture where people pull that from, like Proverbs 23 and 7, right? Or it's 23 and 9. It's one of those two. Where it says, it talks about knowing your heart. You know what I mean? Where they get that from. That scripture talks about a man that's wicked and that was trying to deceive the person in that scripture, trying to make him pretend that he likes him. You know what I mean? Talking about he know my heart. Jeremiah talks about the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. So saying God know my heart. He sure do.
He do.
And he still love you.
That's why I believe Jeffrey went to heaven. I believe that Jeffrey was messed up from child. He was messed up before the sperm hit the egg because both of them parents was discombobulated. They should have never got together. Well, you can't say that because everything that God's created is perfect in his own eyes, right? So in his image, right? So poor little Jeffrey, I don't know about the rest of them because I have not been engulfed in their lives the way that I was
you've been
engulfed
in Jeffrey's life.
Yes, I have. I have Googled him. I have went and got books to read on him, articles, because it just, to see it unfold, like, and then to hear his words and him say these things, like that show on Netflix is not that far from the reality. When you listen to the tape, because there is a show after that, right, just plays the tapes, and the lawyer and the prosecutor, all of them are part of it, and they're saying, like, this is what he said, and this is how it made me feel, and this is what we thought. And so you see people who had emotions in that moment, so it makes it real for you. He really becomes a real person that really did these things and really felt this way. And so, yes, I believe that Jeffrey Dahmer was sick, very, very sick. But I also believe that, like, towards the end, he knew. That's why he'll say, I didn't have any reaction in court because I knew what I did was wrong. That's why I pled guilty. So nothing I could have said to these families would have eased their pain. Right. It just would have made it worse. And I agree. What is it that he's going to say? Look at the heinous things that he had done.
There is no thing that you can do.
Right. And he knew that.
To ease that pain.
And he even said, but unfortunately, at the time, it didn't have the death penalty. So they couldn't sentence him to death. But he was willing to, and he says that, I was willing to take the death. And I believe that's why he didn't fight back when the fellow was bashing his head in. Like, he felt like he deserved death. And because on the tapes, he asked to go to general population. And his lawyer said to him, you know what they're going to do to you if you go that.
Oh, yeah, safe. You knew you weren't going to survive in Gen Pop.
So I think that he wanted to, make penance for the crimes that he had committed. He had found the Lord. And I believe that when I get to heaven, I'm going to see Jeffrey Dahmer.
The sad part is the people who were victimized by it.
Right. They don't see it that way.
Nobody will hear that.
Right.
But some of them do, because we've seen people who have forgiven people that have done heinous acts to them or family members. Right.
But like again, that's an internal thing. That's something that I can't say that I don't know. I would hope that I could find forgiveness for someone if they killed someone close to me, and ate them and laid in the bed with them while they were dead. Weird. But I don't know that I could find forgiveness. I can't tell you because I have never been in that situation. But
not only weird is an understatement. That is pathological. Yes. That is illogical and makes
no sense.
Yeah.
Now, it's not that me saying that I believe that Jeffrey Dahmer went to heaven. It's not me diminishing what he did. He did what he did. He went to jail. He should have. He got killed. But I also believe that he made recompense for what he did.
And if you look at it, look at the phenomenon that show is.
Yes.
That so many people are watching it. The humanity in us wonders what makes a person show up that way.
Yes.
That's why, because I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today about it, like, culture vultures. and from a certain part, we do have people that jump on the hottest thing smoking.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like TikTok. Because once somebody do something on TikTok,
but TikTok,
there are 10,000 videos.
Tell you, TikTok is like.
Let me tell you why I really don't like it.
I like TikTok because I could get recipes. I could get my palms read. I could get tarot card readings, new outfits, a new purse, some counseling.
You know why I don't like TikTok, Kecia? Let me be real. Because look, once you start taking, we try to call it radical ownership or super ownership. Once you start owning up to responsibilities and everything in your life, the reason why I don't have TikTok, I know me. I know TikTok would take me away from the things I need to be doing. So that's why I don't have TikTok.
That's because you don't have no discipline.
No, I have plenty of discipline. That's why I don't have TikTok.
Okay, good point.
You know what I mean? So, but for me, anybody else, all jokes aside, if people love TikTok, cool. Go ahead and do your thing. Yeah. I know for me, because I downloaded it, and my wife was laughing at me, because 10 minutes later, I uninstalled it. I said, oh, no, I know. I know what this is.
No, I know. It's entertainment. I see it as entertainment. Like, I don't really particularly watch, what do you call them shows? Reality TV. Now I like the court shows. I like
unreality TV.
Yeah, I don't really like to watch that. I mean, I just think they portray. I got my own take on that. But people watch it because what? It's entertainment
and it's an escape.
And so, like when I can't sleep at night, I suffer from insomnia. So some nights I can't sleep, and I will watch TikTok.
Okay.
And I get recipes and,
So that's why I made sure I let it be known I made this decision for me because I know it'll take me off track. We talk about boundaries, right?
Right. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
I got rid of that because I have Instagram. I have Facebook.
Amanda said it pulls you in for way too long. Yes, it does.
Exactly.
It's just.
Well, think about it.
And I think that's why, they're smart. The Chinese was smart. Little clips. So you just keep going.
Novelty.
Yeah.
Your brain craves novelty.
Yeah.
That's why you hear parents say all the time, like let's say their child struggles with issues with focus and paying attention.
Okay.
How come he can sit there and play video games for 6 hours? Because video games are constantly giving his brain novelty and newness. Right. As opposed to sitting there reading a book for 6 hours, it's not going to give him that same stimulation. They had neuroscientists and everybody work on TikTok. I watched a neuroscientist talk about how many hits your brain gets off of 10 seconds of a TikTok video. It is astounding. You get dopamine rushes on end from it. And that's why you get caught in these feedback loops and you watch more and more and more. I said.
Which goes back to Jeffrey Dahmer. What was going on in his brain?
Right. What loops? What feedback loop was going on?
Him or the little crazy man with the clown outfit or any of them cuckoo birds.
Or even, look, all of us have feedback loops.
Yeah. It's just what you decide.
What's going on within us?
Yeah.
Because like I said, all of us, there's nobody that can say, there's nobody that hasn't reached a certain age that can't say they may have done something that hurt or offended somebody or bent somebody out of shape. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I do it all the time.
And
sometimes intentionally. I know this is gonna piss them off on me.
Well, most people do. You know what I mean? Because of what's going on with them emotionally and their feelings.
Right.
But it's what's going on inside of me that drives my behavior.
That is true. Yeah. Like today, I will have to tell you, and then we're going to cut it. But today I had an emotion, right? Mm-hmm. This was the emotion. I didn't have an emotion to something that within the past several months, I would have had a strong emotion to it. But I didn't have an emotion. That made me nervous.
Did you feel numb?
I felt, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't have I didn't have an emotion. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me right now? What do I feel like? I couldn't explain it, but I didn't have an emotion to something that I would have had a very, very strong emotion to any other time. But I didn't have an emotion to it. It was just like, it happened, and then it made me feel some kind of way.
Said it made you feel nervous.
Yeah. Why don't I have that emotion?
Right. Is it because you recognize it? Because here's the truth. Emotions are neither good nor bad. Take anger, for instance. Mm-hmm. One that shows up for so many. Mm-hmm. And It's the number one you always hear from people.
Work on me, Jesus. Work on me.
But anger is neither good nor bad.
Right.
What anger does is it's neither good nor bad. It's what you do with it that determines if it's a negative thing or a positive.
But the Bible says, "Be angry, but sin not."
Exactly. So if you had that scripture, then can we say that anger is bad? Now, anger and wrath is
two
separate things.
If you act out on anger, then it's bad.
Yeah. So here's the thing: what anger does is anger and other emotions tell you something needs to be addressed. It's just like pain, physical pain, for instance. The reason why you get a pain in your arm is to alert you that you need to address something that's going on in your arm. Hey, check this out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Emotions are getting you or attempting to get information to you to, hey, check this out.
But what about when you don't have an emotion?
Well,
like you don't have no emotion. You don't feel good nor bad. You don't feel anything. That's how I felt today. Like, and then I kind of caught myself like, this is new.
Who knows? You'd have to explore it because some people.
I don't know if I want to explore it,
or you can just let it go.
Because
here's the thing: emotions don't stay. That's another thing. You don't stay in an emotion.
They're temporary.
Yeah.
Right.
I can wake up in the morning. I've transformed myself into a morning person. I wasn't naturally born.
You cannot wake up in the morning angry because the only person you have an encounter with is God.
I used to wake up in the morning angry.
That's issues.
I hated getting up.
Why?
Because I wanted to sleep.
Was you depressed?
So I was angry. I've had some bouts with that, but I can't say every time it was me having a bout. But it's just what we typically do is we either suppress it or we act out on it, and we rarely explore it. Here's the question. Why am I waking up with this emotion showing up?
Right.
Is it possible I didn't unpack something overnight?
Right.
Am I dreading something?
That is true too.
Am I concerned about something?
Yeah. Now I have done that. Gone to bed.
Yeah. Do I got beef with the person laying in the bed with me that I ain't dealt with?
I don't have no problems.
You know what I mean? So
only person I got beef with is these 17 pillows on the other side.
But sometimes you got beef with the person you laying in the bed with. If nobody's in the bed, it's you. Sometimes you got beef with you.
Yeah. No,
so it is the more comfortable we get with sitting in emotions, then the better off our life is. Because we tend to suppress them.
Right. And instead of just allowing yourself to feel them, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Because feeling them can be scary. If I really let myself feel this, I'm a wild out and people going to get hurt and all that.
Yeah.
Now you don't want to.
Or I'm vulnerable or.
You're going to take advantage of me.
You're going to take advantage of me. Yes.
And you're going to think some type of way.
Yeah.
You know, so.
All these little ugly little daggone
So let me stuff it.
Yes.
Not understanding that human beings are not limitless containers.
Right.
We all have
a limit.
We have a limited capacity.
Yes.
So the more that you can unpack, the more you can stay in what we call the window of tolerance.
Okay. Because
just living requires a certain capacity to get through it.
Right.
You know, you're going to have stress living this life. Mm-hmm. There's good stress, which is called eustress. And then there's negative stress you have. Like there's good stress. For instance, I ran my kids everywhere, had a car situation, had to run my wife to work, pick her up. You know, that wasn't a negative type thing to me, doing what I needed to do for my family.
Right.
But it was still stressful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So stress is stress.
Yeah, like I couldn't sleep last night. I know my insomnia was induced by my anxiety, but it was good stress because we had an amazing business meeting last night. You know, we making out, you know, our 5-year plan, and we're saying, you know, we're hitting these marks, and you know, we're making, you know, we're making it happen. We're building an empire here.
Right.
So it's like, so just to think about all these things actually coming to fruition and being partnered with such amazing people, like that was a good stress to me.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, it was stress because I didn't go to sleep till after, and I wasn't even on TikTok.
Right.
I was just up thinking. Mine wouldn't shut off.
Because anxiety at its root, I'm not talking about generalized anxiety disorder where you worried about little thing. I don't have that. Any little thing can set you off. Any little thing can create that in you, the physical, used to be like that. Emotional, and mental health symptoms.
Yeah, no.
But anxiety at its core is trying to protect you from harm and from looking a certain way.
I got you.
So sometimes you can use that for your good. Like sometimes that feeling anxious about getting that work done can prepare you to get the work done. Sometimes that feeling anxious about getting that work done can cause you to not do nothing. Nothing. Ain't doing nothing. Yep. So it's like it's knowing how to manage it.
Right.
And recognizing it and how you cope with it.
Right. And it all, and I think to be successful in those things, it goes back to what we was talking about, having a good support system. And I think in our community, we are still working on things in that area.
We are, and relationships are so vital.
Yes, it is. It really is.
They call me the governor at the gym.
Oh my God.
Because I talk to everybody.
I bet you do.
I talk to everybody. Of course, I'm done with my workout by the time I talk to everybody. I mess with everybody else's workout.
Yeah. Okay.
But
all right.
Because I recognize one of my major gifts that I have is a connector.
Being available.
Mm-hmm. I connect people.
All right.
I draw people together that probably never would have been drawn together on their own. I've recognized that now in me.
Now, I believe that I'm an empath. Mm-hmm. I believe that when I enter a room, I tend to command the room, not saying that I'm the smartest. Be quiet. I'm the smartest, but I know how to walk into a room and to allow everyone to know that I'm there. So the people that God is going to use me, they know it's a safe place.
Do you feel their emotions and feelings?
I do.
Do you get overwhelmed by it?
I don't think that I ever have. I don't think
you know how to separate it,
right?
Where you say, "This isn't mine."
Right. I'm not going to take this on.
This is yours over here.
Right.
But I feel it.
Right. Yeah.
And
I talk. I do. I'm like you. I talk to everyone. Like everyone. I talk to everyone. And like the other day at work, I was in my queue. I had just got there. And they're like, and I'm like, I got my back turned and I'm like talking, and all of a sudden she gets quiet and I turn around and she was in tears, and I just grabbed her and hugged her, and then I took her in the back and I was, but at the same time, I have grown to where I don't take on other people's and fill my bag up to where I'm overwhelmed and I can't deal with my own self.
Right. You have to have those boundaries for yourself so you don't burn yourself out.
Right. And what I'm trying to work on with me is not to isolate myself when I do get overwhelmed with the world, when I get over. And, my BFF, she's helping me work through that. And what I love about her is she's so understanding. I think it was, she had to learn, okay, this is how she is. So I need to respect her space, but at the same time, I need to let her know that I'm here, and I'm not going to let her stay in that too long. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So she'll give me a day. And so I know now, okay, I'm going to have this one day, but after that, I'm not going to be able to get rid of her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you know what? When people are struggling, they don't need you to force yourself on them.
Right.
What they need to know is that you're there.
Right.
And they can reach out if they need to,
yeah,
or if they choose to, but not where they feel forced,
right?
Because that just creates even more pressure.
And then you stay there, you stay in that place. Yeah. And so I think that she has been phenomenal in that, and that was something that I've never really had because everybody always expected me. Oh, she's the strong one. She gets it done. She always on it. Blah blah blah. God damn it, I have days too.
Even strong people struggle.
You know what I'm saying? But people don't think like that. Even my family sometimes don't. It's like, oh, mama, you all right. Oh, like you saw how I was after my car accident. But to my daughter was like, oh, it ain't that bad.
You'll shake it off.
Yeah. I could have died.
Well, why would I think like that? when you always come through for
right,
me. And
right.
not even from a sadistic place
Right,
or I don't care about you
right.
place, but
that's,
I'm conditioned. You always come through.
Yeah. Got the cape on, gonna make it happen.
You always come through, not knowing. So many of us are pouring from empty cups.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
you think you really getting something? You getting dust.
Yeah.
I'm pouring dust on you.
Exactly.
It ain't pixie dust either.
Yeah. And so I really like, that's one of the greatest things that she gives me in our friendship is you know, when I'm those days that I'm struggling, she'll just give me my time. She don't allow me to stay in it long, which is good, because before, you know, like when I first got here, I didn't have anybody close to me. So I would stay in it weeks. You know what I'm saying? Weeks.
And probably said, I'm all right.
When people call,
it's okay.
What you doing? Night, girl. Get off the phone and fall apart.
I don't even ask people how they doing.
You know, that's a dangerous thing to do too.
What? Ask
people how they doing.
You know why?
Like, because they may tell you. They may tell you how they actually are doing, and then what you gonna do.
Most people don't, though, because of that reason. If I told you what I was doing, how I'm doing, what you gonna do about it?
Yeah, well,
why waste my time?
And people will though.
Yeah, but you know what?
So you know they crying, and you like, God damn, I just want to know what the weather was.
Yeah, so you shouldn't ask.
Yeah, so no,
here's my thing: don't ask nobody how they doing if you're not willing to show up in that capacity.
I don't want that responsibility, so I don't ask how you doing. What's happening? Now, if we have that type of relationship, I may ask you, you all right? Everything good?
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, no, I learned that lesson, especially as an empath, because people feel comfortable. They want to say, oh, but you know.
Well, you open yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you do.
So I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah, you have to protect it.
Yes. You cannot just be like, hey, how y'all doing? Or you say y'all to the group. So you're not singling one person out. Saquon never speaks to me when I say y'all.
He never speaks to you?
He wants me to directly address him. I'll be like, I said, hey. No, you said, hey, y'all. Oh, my God. All right. So this has been enlightening. I told you this was going to be good. Clifton. Yes. So needless to say, I love the mind. I'm too old to be a neuroscience.
Who said that?
Me.
You just don't want to go to school.
No, I don't.
Okay. Just say you don't want to go to school. Don't say you're too old.
Yes,
don't say you're too old. Just say you don't want.
No, because my brain does not work how it used to. And I get sidetracked quickly, okay? And they don't allow you to drink in class. So thank you guys for joining us. This has been amazing. I have been so excited about this conversation just because I am really intrigued about how people think. Ultimately, is because I want people to be in a healthy place mentally. That's what I want. That is my goal. If I just want people to be happy, and I want all the shitty people to go to an island somewhere.
Well, you know what they need? They need to find out why they're
shitty.
Yeah. And then they can get the help they need so they don't have to stay in that space.
Well, I could tell them. I don't know if I'll be effective.
Right. You might push them further into it because they'll get defensive.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Whenever you come at a person a certain way and they can get defensive, it takes you off of addressing what the real issue is.
Well, I just like treating shitty people like shitty people. So we're going to work on that. So I just want to thank God for this opportunity to be here on this platform. As you all know, this is my therapy, a part of it, but I do have therapists. And, you know, just my Brass Mill team, we're doing some amazing things here at the Business Suites of Brass Mill. Look out for our new website. If you want to get in touch with Dr. Cliff, you can come to the Brass Mill website. So I will be posting that.
Or you're going to post my social media
yes,
handles.
I'm going to make sure Dr. Cliff's information is on my Facebook page, all of my pages, my YouTube page. And he does do virtual counseling. So you do not have to be in Maryland to reach out to Dr. Cliff. You have to be
in Maryland if
you're using insurance.
And if you're going to do therapy, because I'm licensed in
Delaware
is a state that's going compact.
Well, when you call, just tell him you're in Maryland. He don't know the difference. Okay? If you pay cash, just don't bring it up. Okay, just get the help you need. All right, dudes. I need y'all to get with Dr. Cliff here. Okay. So yes, it's all about really the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing. Just really intrigued me about how the mind really works. What makes people tick. That kind of thing. And I don't think it was a black or white thing with him. I think it was just his circumstances. That's all. Because if it was it could have happened the same way if it was a black guy. So, I don't think it was a race thing. I think it was just, his circumstances. And, obviously in African American homes, minority homes, there are so many things that happen that dictate our circumstances, the way we think and the way we act. So there could be lots and lots of people that you lay next to every day that, like Dr. Cliff said, struggle internally in their own small space
and don't say anything.
So that really intrigued me. That really, just the thought of that, and just want people to just be healthy and feel loved. So yeah, so that's why we had this conversation, and I hope nobody is out there having intrusive thoughts. And if you are having them, please do not act out on them. Do not cut your finger off while you are cutting cucumbers, okay?
And you are not abnormal having those thoughts.
I don't know, Dr. Cliff. The jury's still out.
The jury's still out on it.
Yeah. So on that note, we have taken up enough of your time. We made up since I wasn't here last week. So yeah, I hope you all have a great weekend and be safe. Think good thoughts. Love on each other on purpose. All right? And don't be shitty. Peace in the Middle East.